Welcome back to the channel, everybody. As you know, I've been doing a series of interviews and interviewing different people about topics like mental illness and addiction. And I have a guest on tonight who is going to talk about schizophrenia. And her name is Tricia. Tricia, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tricia. I'm also known as Truther 101. And I was raised by a mother who was diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic. I have an older sister, my oldest sister, who is diagnosed as delusional paranoid schizophrenic. And I growing up was like I was walking a void between sanity and insanity. And I've been told by many that mentally ill people are attracted to me. It's like moths to a light.
Yeah.
And I've been told by many that I bring sanity to their insanity.
Right.
And my mother was born in 1931, and her first diagnosis as paranoid schizophrenic happened right after my oldest sister was born. My dad came home from work and my mom was trying to drown her little baby in the bathtub.
Oh my God.
And he had her committed. They diagnosed her as schizophrenic. Then she gets pregnant with my next sister, and everything was okay until after she was born. And my mother had another nervous breakdown, and she was put in the mental ward for months.
Aww.
And then she got pregnant with me 2 years after my sister was born. And me and I have two brothers were Irish triplets.
Wow.
We're all born within one year of each other, 10 months apart. And then another brother that was don't know if there was any complications with him, but my youngest brother, she had another full-fledged nervous breakdown, and she was put into the mental ward, and they gave her shock treatment while she was pregnant with my brother.
Oh my God.
And then she was court ordered sterilized as soon as my brother was born. I do not believe my mother was mentally ill. I believe what was happening with her was postpartum depression.
Right. Wow.
And my mother never accepted the psychiatric drugs. She refused all medication, and she did fine, and she would get, you could tell when she was going to go off on one of her rants, that she'd get this look in her eye that would scare the hell out of everybody. Yes, I've inherited that look. My dad was a Korean vet, and he came back with extreme PTSD, never treated. Of course, the Korean vets never talked about it.
Yeah, that's right. They were like the silent generation.
It was a silent generation. He was exposed to Agent Orange. They were spraying it on the rice paddy field where he was stationed in Korea.
Wow.
And he had a lifetime of illness, and he had an inner rage, and he was a very abusive father. And I don't believe he ever hit my mother, but he had to wrestle her down at times and lock her in her room because she would go off. And it was always on a holiday or someone's birthday. And, that goes hand in hand with narcissists.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
So it's a crazy world that we're living in. But my mother would get visits from Jesus. Literally. and
Wow.
she'd sit on her bed and talk to him. And she was, you know, I love my mother, and she was a crazy mother. She was fun. She was crazy. She was scary. Her punishments were worse than my dad, even though our father beat the hell out of us. My mother's punishment would make us, she would make us kneel on the floor. It was a cement floor, and say the rosary for hours on end when we were kids.
Wow.
And that's not normal. And she was kind of
Right.
like the mother on what's that show, the Stephen King show, I'm trying to think where that teenager has all the pig's blood dropped on her.
Oh, Carrie.
Carrie, yeah. She
Nice.
she was a lot like that kind of mother.
Oh my
When
God.
she went off, that's the same kind of stuff she went off on, and it was always religious.
That is so weird. Huh.
So,
Well,
and
oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think that sort of was related to the electric shock? I mean, I don't know how young you were at the time that happened to her, but like, did that kind of flip a trigger on her? And because it's got to be traumatic too, whatever
Well,
they do.
absolutely. I think that in I believe she was misdiagnosed, because they were diagnosing all sorts of women with schizophrenia those years, and they didn't know anything about postpartum depression. So my oldest sister, she was real into the drug scene. She's 3 years older than me, and she was dating this psychiatrist's son, and he would bring her, you know, drugs.
Wow.
Like this man, and she was very rebellious towards it. My dad didn't want her to see him anymore. I think he had an inkling that she was doing drugs with him. And one time, she was 17, just before she turned 18 years old. My dad beat her so bad, it put her in the hospital.
Oh my God.
And she was never the same after that. And she's been in and out of mental institutions ever since. She's been diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic. And talking to her is like talking to someone on an LSD trip. I mean, that
Wow.
never comes down.
Oh my God. I wonder what kind of drugs he was giving her.
I wonder too.
Because this was that time where the CIA was like giving out LSD and who knows what
Yeah,
else to people. Oh my God.
exactly. I had to, she was living with me when I was pregnant with my first daughter. And she tried to commit suicide on me, and I didn't know what to do. I'm, you know, 8 months pregnant, looking like I'm ready to pop, and I didn't know what to do with her. I talked to my dad, and we had her committed. Back then, family members could commit you.
Right. Right.
And so once she got out of the mental institution, she traveled to, you know, California, part of the whole drug scene. Like I said, she's been in and out all her life. She's taking the psychiatric drugs. She's been on lithium, and she came to a point where they told her she had thyroid cancer, and she had to go in for an operation. And they go in and open up her throat and find out the lithium dissolved her thyroid.
Wow.
You talk about medical malpractice. I mean, they've been doing this since day one.